Hi there, I'm Steve Morris. I'm the EMEA Senior Product Manager for Datacenter Connectivity. So it's a really interesting time in terms of regulatory change in the finance sector, particularly those involved in high frequency trading activity. So Europe's a real hotspot in terms of financial trading. We have some very large exchanges here that really have a massive influence on the rest of the world. For some time now there's been an EU law known as Mythic, and it's a way to regulate those involved in high frequency trading activity. And that's been around a new EU law for some time. However, there's a new version of that that's really set out to ensure that there's a level playing field in terms of if it's an exchange that's hosting brokerage firms or those other businesses involved in high frequency trading, that all these guys can operate and there's no unfair trading advantage to adjacent customers that might be hosted in the same exchange. So there's a new directive now called MiFID II. MiFID stands for Markets in Financial Instruments Directive. And this directive is again a build on the initial standard, and it's there to ensure even more of a fair and level set playing field for all these businesses to operate. So we've heard of latency for some time now, and a lot of people talk latency, but the interesting thing is this isn't just about low latency. For many years now we found customers that bring their data centers right into the exchange to reduce latency, but now the focus isn't just on reducing latency, it's on equalizing latency between these customers, and that could mean actually increasing latency. And it's really a case of building a speed bump, as if you can imagine a speed bump, to make sure that all these customers in the same exchange kind of start and finish at the same place at the same time. But that really brings us some challenges in terms of redesign of the data center, and we call this latency equalization. So essentially, a couple of things. The MiFID II is going to be legally enforceable from the 3rd of January. Okay, and obviously this isn't a standard that just got developed in 6 months and released. This has been ongoing discussions and substandards for some time to bring this to market. However, within these hundreds of standards that relate to MiFID II, the part that relates to the business that we're in, which is the cabling industry or structured cabling, the directive states that all cable lengths must be equal. All these customers must have an equal playing field. Okay, so if one customer's got 20 meters between equipment and the next one has 80, all these customers will have to be equalized probably on 80 meters, okay, or whatever the length is. So suddenly you've got thousands of links and multiple customers that need to be equalized, and you've got a cable management challenge, or design challenge to solve. The way the standards are rolled out, and because of the enforcement dates, businesses are having to react to this very quickly. So certainly there's been opportunities for Panduit. And Panduit was founded on solving cable management issues, so panel conduit, okay, so that's really how the business was founded. So it's great to be involved in these early stages of a real transition and change in the industry. So if anyone's familiar with the centre of London or many other cities, space is at a premium. How do you do that? These are rarely greenfield sites. These operators need to react to the market very, very quickly. So they've got some massive challenges. So whether it's the containment systems, where do you put the cable slack? Can we design a panel that takes the slack? Can we put the slack in the cable management? There's multiple design challenges to overcome this situation. So it's very interesting. But the most interesting part for me is that some people may turn around and say, well, this is just Europe, and we're in North America, or we're in Asia Pacific. This isn't relevant to us. The reality is that businesses are operating globally. Okay, so whether an exchange in New York or Shanghai wants to do this is irrelevant, because it's market driven. It's driven by customers. The customers want the same fairness platform wherever they operate. So what we're finding now is that the US regulator called SEC is paying close attention to what's happening in Europe, and I strongly believe that we're setting the pace here, and other global operators and countries will have to react to this. They may be reacting, kicking and screaming, but it's fantastic to be on the curve of this transition in the market. It's fantastic to learn about the challenges, learn about these new standards. That's always interesting to learn something new. I'm very interested to see how this migrates to the rest of the world. Certainly, if you read certain financial presses, you'll hear that this is wider than the Europe challenge. So the DCD event's very interesting for Panduit. Panduit has sponsored the event heavily for the last few years, certainly whilst I've been with Panduit. So I want to use an analogy actually, because I strongly believe that it's really important to connect with your customer. Okay, so I was in a chain restaurant, and it wasn't high class, but it was interesting. I was sat there, and the kitchen was the centerpiece of the restaurant. Okay, and I've been to multiple restaurants, and like anyone else, I enjoy eating out, of course. But the point here is that the kitchen staff were connecting with the customers, and the service was great, the food was great, and the interaction was fantastic. The staff seemed to be enjoying themselves as much as the customers, and everything was in sync. And I liken this back to DCD. Okay, when you're close to your customers, you can talk with them, engage with them. Both existing customers, and the fantastic thing about DCD is meeting new people as well for us. It's fantastic. It gives us a chance to engage people, in a relaxed environment, we're here year on year because it brings great value back into our business and back to our customers. For me, Panduit's predominantly a product manufacturer and software and other things as well, but essentially, people can get lost in an overwhelming amount of information. So I think it's really important to stay focused on what your flagships are. Okay, so we have flagship technologies, whether it's fiber. We've really sort of helped develop new multimode fiber technology. We led the standards, and we chaired the standards, which brought a new breed of multimode fiber, which is OM5. It's really about ensuring that you're relevant to the market. There's a myriad of products or software and developments we can discuss here, but this is a great platform to bring our latest equipment, latest stories to the market and our customers. So yeah, it's a perfect platform for Panduit.